Hello everyone, Oliake here, and I've just finished my first year at the University of Bristol, so I've made a complete guide about which student accommodation you should pick. So the accommodations are split into 3 different residential villages: North Village, East Village and West Village. So I'm going to go over the pros and cons of each village as well as the general vibe. And at the end, once you've picked which accommodation village or villages that you would like to live in, I will go over how to find the exact accommodation that you want within that village. So the first village is North Village. This is the most sociable, lively and kind of what you'd expect a uni to be. You've basically got thousands of students all together. It's a breeding ground for social life. Most students want to live here, or if they don't get to go to North Village, they wish that they went here. It has some lovely posh architecture. As you can see, Will's Hall looks amazing, but this is my accommodation, University Halls, and you can see doesn't look amazing. Nice greenery, but doesn't look amazing. So there is a variety. It generally does have a posher reputation. And now let's get into the pros and the cons. The first and the most obvious pro, which I've just talked about, is the social scene. You've got thousands of students in a smallish area. You're gonna be social. For example, Hyatt Baker, this has a reputation of the most sociable common. I'd say the whole of University of Bristol. You get 20 plus people in a flat. The flat parties are incredible. North Village has some amazing facilities. You can see here, look at these tennis courts, beautiful, lovely greenery. You've got also exercise machines, basketball courts, you've got it all. Adding to that, it's also in a very safe area, pretty well off, safe. You're not gonna feel in danger walking around. It's right next to Clifton Downs, this massive field, probably 5 kilometer circumference, maybe even more. So a lot of sports go on there. It's really good. Also, nearby there's Coombe Dingle Sports Centre. This is where a lot of exams are held, and also, as in the name, sports. So if you're doing some sports, nice and convenient for you. Now obviously it's not perfect, there are quite a few cons, and the biggest con is the inconvenience in its location. You have to get a bus to campus. It's about a 35-40 minute walk, so you're gonna get the bus. And to be fair, the buses are actually really reliable. They come from usually about 8 AM up until 4 AM. Like 4 AM is pretty good. At peak times, there's a bus every 6 minutes. That's not bad. One thing I will say is sometimes the buses leave like 30 seconds early, and that's enough for you to miss a bus. So do get to the buses early. They do get very cramped during lectures, especially at 9 AM. And especially at the start of the term, you'll end up finding yourself standing on the bus, not even be able to fit on the bus. There's no convenient shops nearby. The closest shop is about a kilometer away, Waitrose, but it's a Waitrose, it is quite expensive. There is a cafe on campus, but it only sells like pasta and like, I don't know, like toothpaste maybe. No, it didn't even sell toothpaste. I tried to get toothpaste and didn't have any, so I had to go all the way to Waitrose and spend £2.50. It can feel like a bubble, like you're not integrated with the city. University of Bristol is a city campus, and it feels like you're a little bit away from everything. So to summarise, it's great for freshers who want that traditional uni experience. Very loud, fun and sociable, however not that convenient. The next village is East Village, and this is the city centre. Now it's got more of like, obviously a city lifestyle. You're a bit more independent. East Village is really near the harbour side, which is a lovely location, and it's great for people who just want to dive straight into that Bristol life and be right in the city centre. And we'll start with the pros, of course. It's incredibly convenient location. You've got shops nearby, clubs nearby. For me in North Village, I got to get the bus all the way back from a club at night at 4 AM. Yeah, it's not great. Here you've got a club on the same road as you. Campus is a walkable distance. It depends on which accommodation you are exactly, but it is generally walkable. It is quite hilly, that's all of Bristol though, you can't really avoid it. And it's got quite a lot of modern buildings. The buildings, I've only been in I've been in 2 in East Village, and they feel more like hotels. And now onto the cons. It's a lot noisier. You're in the city centre. If you're, especially one of the accommodations that I went to, there's a club 10 seconds away, so it can get quite noisy. It also can feel quite intense, especially if you're not used to that city life. And there's less of a tight-knit student community. In North Village, there's a bunch of students together. There's only students there. Here, there's everyone. It's the city centre, so you can feel a little bit less connected. And it does feel more like renting an apartment or a hotel than an actual traditional student accommodation. So to summarise, it's more of a city focused kind of lifestyle, a bit more modern, maybe a bit more independent, and overall probably a little bit more intense. And now we move on to West Village, the final village. And to sum West Village up, it's a balance. It's kind of between two. A little bit less sociable than North Village, but I would say a bit more sociable than East Village. It's in Clifton, which is a lovely, beautiful area. It's more of a residential, not city life or kind of isolated North Village life. So it's a mix of kind of a bit chiller than the city, but a bit more sociable than in town. Pros is it's super, super close to campus. Everything's walking distance, no buses needed. Again, it's a lovely, lovely area. And a con would be it is quite pricey. I'll get into that kind of stuff later. And I guess it's in Clifton, which is very hilly. Again, in Bristol, you're not going to be able to avoid hills. To summarize, it's nice balance of sociable, but also a little bit chiller. And well, it's a beautiful area and also very scenic. Okay, so you've picked the village or the villages that you're interested in looking at. How now do you pick the individual accommodation that you want to live in? So I've made a list of 7 things to look for, and you can find all of these on the University of Bristol website. So the first thing is, what kind of room do you want? So there are shared bathrooms, en suites, and also studio rooms. Now I had a shared bathroom, 5 of us for 1 bathroom, but actually it was fine for me. I thought it'd be terrible, always queuing for the toilet. It was actually okay. But if you're someone who wants a bit more privacy, wants an ensuite, look for that. Also, there's studio rooms, which are really big. You get like your own cooking facilities and all of that kind of stuff, but that'll be a bit more expensive. And finally is the room size that you want. Rooms are split into 3 sizes: basic, standard, and standard plus. I was in a basic room and actually it wasn't even too bad. I'll put on a screen what my room looked like. I had enough space. I mean, I didn't put too much stuff in my room, but if you want a bit more space, then obviously get the standard or standard plus. The next thing to look for is obviously its price. I mean, maybe I should have put that first. Super basic. I don't need to explain this one. You're gonna have a budget. Also, the next point, which would be catered or self-catered, include the pricing of that into your budget. Basically, with catered, it's paying for food, so you can have a higher budget for that. So yeah, self-catered or catered. I was self-catered. Personally, I like making my own food. For catered, I had a friend who was catered, and basically she had 2 meals a day. One was from 7 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. and the other one was about 5 to 6 p.m. So you can, if you miss these meals, then you can't eat. I think the food was decent, to be fair. They limit your portion sizes, so if you're someone who's trying to bulk up a little bit, might not be amazing. And on the weekends, I think there's only 1 meal, maybe just on Sundays. They do have a kitchen, but it was really small and not great. There was a kitchen for all of the catered people, like 1 kitchen between hundreds of people if you really wanted to cook. But obviously it's very convenient having catered. You don't have to cook for yourself, you don't have to worry about food going out of date, but then you don't really get the life skills. Keeping track of when food goes out of date, learning how to cook is very important for second year, because there's no catered in second year unless you come back to halls. The 4th point is the flat layout. Do you want a bigger or a smaller flat? My flat had 5 people. I know someone who has 4 people in the flat, so that's probably the smallest, but 5 people is very, very small. It's a lot quieter and it was quite lonely, but then peaceful at the same time. If you're a bit more introverted, look for a smaller flat with less people. I had a friend who had 18 people in his flat, and basically we were opposite sides of the spectrum. For me, it was rare for someone else to be cooking at the same time. For him, it was rare for him to cook alone and have no one else cooking at the same time. Obviously, a bigger flat, you're going to meet more people, have more chances to connect with people, but it will be more chaotic, and if you're less sociable, maybe tend towards a smaller flat. The 5th point is location. For example, within North Village, some of them are a little bit further from the bus stop. Something like High Baker and Uni Halls are right next to the bus stop, but other ones are up the hill, a little bit less convenient. And in West and East Village, the accommodations are a little bit spread apart. So some of them will be further from campus, some of them will be closer, some have corner shops right next to them, some a little bit further away, so keep that in mind. The 6th point is the facilities. Obviously, I've talked about North Village's facilities. They're great. I'm not sure about East and West Village. Just look into that. Also, each accommodation should have their own common room. They're kind of communal spaces. Look into that as well. Mine had like a piano, had pool, snooker, all of that kind of stuff, table tennis. Also, study spaces. Mine didn't really have a good study space. Yeah, not great, so you might want that. And the 7th and final is reputation. Different accommodations have different reputations. Perfect example is High Baker that I mentioned before, has a reputation of being sociable. They have up to 22 people in a flat. Insane stuff. I don't know all the reputations of different individual accommodations, but look on TikTok, on Reddit, on YouTube. I'm sure there'll be people giving some insight about that. One final tip is to watch room tours on the University of Bristol website, on YouTube. There's this YouTube channel, UBTV. They do good like documenting funny videos about University of Bristol. You can get a bit of a vibe for different accommodations on there. And one final thing, I will put in this corner a playlist of all of my University of Bristol videos. So that's a Freshers Week vlog, a week in the life vlog, and I'll be adding more videos to that as the time comes by. So if you want to get a vibe to see how like Freshers Week felt for me, up there, click that playlist. Awesome. Ooh. Hi guys, me the next day. I forgot to mention this, but the most important thing isn't the accommodation, but rather the people you live with. You could have the nicest accommodation ever, but if your flatmates are terrible, your uni experience might not be great. But you could have the worst accommodation ever. It could be falling apart, but if you live with your best friends, that's going to be sick. So keep that in mind. Even if you don't get the accommodation you want, there is still potential for the year to be great. But anyway, yeah, let me know in the comments if you found this helpful. Make sure to like and subscribe for good luck in your first year of university. If you don't like and subscribe, you're not going to pass your exams. Trust me. Anyway, it's been your boy Oliak, and I'm out. Bye.